Hi everyone, it's KIREI here for Hip Kit Club, and I am using these September 2024 kits, and my focus was to use a cut file, and I'm using the Apple Cluster cut file, and these are free to all subscribers. I'm also using elements from the main kit, the embellishment kit, and the cardstock kit. Okay, so when I saw the cut file, I knew it was going to be perfect for some photos I had from a fairly recent weekend away. And I know they were part of the kit because there's obviously a school related element for the apples, but this was for something very different, and I'll tell you a bit about the story a bit later. Anyway, I've pulled out this paper. It's called That's Fall, Folks, and I am going to fussy cut a number of apples from it. And then I have my 5 photos. I've got my cut file that I'm going to sit there, and then the apples are going to sort of cascade below it. I'm going to back my apples with this. I really loved the colours of the plaid paper. It's sort of orangey, pinky tones. There's a bit of green in it as well. So I'm going to use that paper, and then I'm going to back the little the leaves and the stalks as well. Now I actually ended up backing them with a paper from the Pocket Life set, but I could have definitely used actually the apple paper because it has the sort of greens and the oranges within the apples, and I could have cut them from that, but anyway I didn't. And you'll see that in a little bit. So yeah, so firstly I've just roughly drawn around the file. I wasn't completely sure actually at this point whether I was going to raise it or just stick it flat to the cut file. But I'm cut it out now, and then here we go, here's the Pocket Life paper, and I've got that sort of green, and then I'm going to use the orange as well to back my leaves and the stalks. So yeah, I definitely could have used the apple paper and just use the different coloured apples on that. So yeah, so I'm just sort of trimming these around roughly because they're quite small. It's just easy to do. And then I did decide I was going to stick these flat. So I'm sticking these flat, and then I'm going to use the plaid paper behind them, obviously. So anyway, back to the story about the apples. So my photos are from a recent weekend away up to see my cousins in Lincoln. Now, I live in the UK, and my husband and I decided we had a bit of time on the way up there. We had a look to see if there was anything on the way that would be nice to go and have a look at. And there was a National Trust property called Woolsthorpe Manor. And the National Trust here in the UK looks after and preserves sort of buildings of historical significance, I guess. So anyway, so Woolsthorpe Manor was actually the family home of Sir Isaac Newton, and he basically discovered the theory of gravity. And if those of you who may know, it's all about when he was sat underneath an apple tree. And an apple fell, and he pondered the reason why the apple fell straight down versus going sideways or whatever. And that theory of gravity was actually discovered when he was staying here in Woolsthorpe Manor. He came back to the family home from London and stayed here for a number of years, and this is where he did a lot of experimenting and discovering, and really, I guess, laid the foundations for a lot of science for today. So yeah, so there's my little history lesson about why the apple file worked particularly well for my photos. It's all about Isaac Newton and his theory of gravity and the falling apple. So yeah, so but it was really, really interesting actually. We had a great afternoon there, just sort of going around reading about the history and the photos of the apple tree, because that is the actual apple tree in my photos, which you'll see in a bit. But yeah, they have managed to preserve it, and it still stands there today. So yeah, which is very cool. So yeah, that's the photos of us are in front of the said apple tree. So yeah. Anyway, let's move on. I have now cut 2 pieces of cardstock. These are from the cardstock kit, Cheeky, the orange, and Minty in the blue. I've stuck those down onto the white cardstock frame. I have stitched around the border just to add a bit of texture, and then I've added some white splatters to the background. And now I'm going to get my cut file stuck down. And what you'll see I've just added some foam pads to the top of the cut file. And then I'll keep the apples flat at the bottom because I'm going to sit my photos along the bottom there. Now, I am denied about backing my photos, but I actually decided I didn't need to because I didn't have too much. I had a fairly plain background other than just the apples, but they worked fine. So I'm just placing them here, making sure that I'm happy with how they look, and then I will get them stuck down. And again, I will just add some foam pads to the top of each of the photos, and then I can get those stuck down. So that's, I guess, that's the main part of the layout done, and the rest is really about adding embellishments and my title and my journaling. Now here you'll see I had my foam tape along the top of those two, but I do actually take a little bit of that off. I do it off camera because I decided for my journaling I would add it to a journaling card that I pop. Then I can just slide behind those photos, and you'll see that in a bit. So now you saw me fussy cut one apple. Well, now I've fussy cut a lot more. And I'm just sort of going to have them cascading down below my photos, and I'm just placing them and figuring out where I want them to go. I will stick them down just with the wet glue, and I only stick a bit of glue in the center so I can keep the sort of curve the edges up and keep that dimension. Now I have to apologize here. On my video, I forgot to mention earlier, but there is that little sort of in the top left corner, a sort of grey shadow. I'm actually away for a week of scrapbooking with 8 of my lovely friends, and I have to take my equipment with me, and I honestly don't know what that is. So yeah, so apologies for that little shadow there. There's that journaling card. So it says the story of the day, which was perfect. And yeah, now I'm tucking in some elements from the ephemera, and I'm using the ephemera from the main kit and ephemera from the embellishment kit. Now I do add a piece in there that says September, but I do change it off camera when I finish because I realised it wasn't September when I went, it was August. So I managed to lift that up and I added some leaves in there instead. So, and then I'm just going to bring in, I've got some puffy alphas, puffy shapes that I will add in, and also some chipboard pieces as well. That's a little chipboard piece there, the little tab. Another one of the apples at the top, one of the ephemera pieces. And then what else am I going to do? The alpha. Okay, so this is in your main kit, and the orange was perfect to go with, obviously, with my layout. And I'm going to call it Under the Apple Tree because that's very appropriate, based on the story. But of course, we were stood next to the apple tree there, but it obviously relates to the famous story. So we'll get those down. I've got some of the enamel dots, and no, did I use it? No, I didn't. That's right. I decided not to. I thought I loved the gold dots in the puffy stickers here. These are in the embellishment kit, and I thought I'd just add a few of those around the layout. So yeah, no, so I didn't use the enamel dots. Here we go. I'm still trying to just decide where I'm going to pop them, but just wanted to add a little bit of gold around the layout. And then I think I'm almost done. Yeah, my journaling's there. Here we go. There's the final layout. And here are some of the close-up shots. You'll see that fabulous cut file. It's called Full Cluster. And as I said, the cut files are free to all subscribers. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed watching the process video. And thanks so much for watching. And I'll see you again next time. Bye for now.